Hello and welcome to the first Middle East Bite-Size series event of the year, where we will be discussing how to create sustainability in assessment processes. We're going to explore the concept of sustainability and how this can be applied in various ways to enhance usability and create efficiencies for both candidates and end users. We're also going to discuss ways to be more efficient in assessment processes, how to take a data-driven approach when assessing, and how we can create longer-term sustainability, as well as how we can implement paperless processes. So this presentation will include a short discussion from us, and then we'll open up to questions and answers from the audience. So I think you all know me, Becky, and my colleague Jonathan. So I'm going to pass you over now to John to introduce SOVA. So hello, Jonathan.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining, and thanks, Becky. So just in terms of SOVA, a very brief intro to those of you who don't know who we are. So we're basically an online assessment software provider, and what we aim to do is combine the best of science and technology. So science from the assessment science perspective, in terms of using tools which are predictive of job performance. So assessing candidates for roles, assessing employees for development initiatives, and basically using the best-in-class tools to accurately do this and customize against our clients' frameworks. We also bring in the latest SaaS technology, a fully cloud-based solution, which enables us to deliver really engaging and immersive user experience whilst also maintaining the configurability of our assessments. We also have lots of technologies and emerging technologies within the AI and machine learning space as well. So just a quick overview of the platform. As I mentioned, this is a fully cloud-based solution, which is a one-stop shop for all of your assessment needs. So we can literally put any type of assessment on our platform, from screening questionnaires through to psychometrics, through to video interviews and 360 assessments for development initiatives. All of this can be configured and personalized on our platform. And we wrap that round with an immersive candidate experience. So one of the things we're using at the moment with most of our clients is an immersive homepage where a single sign-on entry point for candidates enables them to move through the process seamlessly and enables us to present their different tasks, their assessment tasks to do whilst they're in that single hub. We also have things like video interview. We're actually offering this as free as part of our subscription licenses. And then we also have Virtual Assessment Center. We've been working with this for 3 or 4 years now. All of our virtual assessment centers, which includes things, all of the exercises you would expect, such as role plays, group discussions, and case studies. That is all presented on our platform, which is fully integrated with web conferencing software. We also have 360 and 180 modules available, and all of this at the end is wrapped around with our predictive analytics engine. We can do lots with the scoring of our different assessments that we have on the platform, and basically enabling you to make accurate and fair decisions about staff. And just to mention as well, we obviously do a full range of ATS integrations. We've listed some at the bottom there, but there are others if you're interested to find out about that. Okay. Back to you, Becky.
So what is sustainability? What is it and how does it fit? I think when we think about sustainability, we think about going green, recycling, bikes, non-plastic coffee cups and those sorts of things. So just a bit more info, if we look at it, we can see what is it at work. So there's some different definitions. So Harvard Business Review actually said back in 2018, it's conducting work without negatively impacting the environment, community or society as a whole. So I think this is quite a good definition in the assessment space, because we want to ensure that assessments are sustainable, that they don't have negative impact, and that they're also environmentally friendly as well. And we can think about the paper, for example, printing or ink and things like that. So we'll come into that in more detail, but that's one definition. Also thinking about it in terms of, how we can monitor the impact of assessments and, you know, how sustainable they are, and look at sort of the long-term future aspect here with this definition. And also thinking corporate social responsibility, corporate sustainability. So it really is the approach of long-term stakeholder value through the implementation of business strategies. So it's about putting sustainability into existing strategies and having them working alongside. And then going green, so the British Psychological Society, so they've published a lot of information on this and sort of given us guidance about, well, how can we go green at work? What can we do? So some of the other initiatives which are used, I'm sure some of you will widely use these, are, you know, it's about designing tasks in an environmentally friendly way. It's thinking about policies that can lead to reduction in carbon footprints. It's motivating employees to, you know, everything from waste management to travel plans, thinking about all of these in a sustainable way. It's also about training people and using really effective change management principles to help people go green, to help them do it in different ways. And of course, different aspects of our day-to-day life at work, you know, can be more sustainable than others. So if you all think about what you're doing now at home, you know, already you might not have been in the car, so that's sustainable. Think about your coffees, think about what work you're working on. There's also sort of talk around, if we think about the computer and data we store, actually, you know, is that sustainable to have lots and lots of emails in your inbox? You know, they've got to be stored somewhere in the cloud. So can we be reducing carbon footprint in that way? If we think about the virtual world as well as the real life paper and pencil world. Okay, if we go to the next slide. And then sustainability in the UAE. So the UAE really is at the forefront of this. So we obviously have Smart Dubai's paperless strategy. This is to go paper-free across the region. And we're seeing this a lot with clients. We're seeing it really sort of becoming embedded. Digital transformation. So Dubai has now become the world leader in innovating in digital, a world-leading innovator in digital economy. Also, the government here are the first government to go paperless as well. So all of these things are really positive signs which the rest of the world can learn from. And there's also numerous sustainability projects as well. And you can see here, just on this graphic, we've got lots of global goals. We've got the 17 global goals of the government in terms of sustainability in the different areas which we can all work to. So how do we then create sustainable assessments? So what are some of the ways that we can do this? So we'll address this on the next slide. So it's just some of the ways that we can do this, and we'll talk in more detail as we go through, but utilising new technology. So as John said, SOVA really is pioneering new techniques in assessment, new technology. So it's about looking to increase these, increasing efficiencies where we can. It's hiring the right people. If we get the right people in the roles, they're likely to stay longer. And again, this is going to increase productivity, reduce costs and so on. Going paperless where possible. And as I said at the very beginning, thinking about printing costs. I mean, we've all been at an assessment centre where we've had to print everything from assessor guides, candidate guides, scoring guides, spare sheets, paper for assessors to write on. So even just reducing that, you know, if you're running a couple of assessment centres a week, this is going to, you know, save you, you know, a lot of money. Using a data-driven approach. So it's about as well creating longer term sustainability. So thinking about talent identification and development. You know, what are your assessment processes? How robust are these? Are these going to get you the people that you want within your organization? And are they going to do a good job? And then are you measuring these and revising these as you go along? And then of course the focus on the future. So how can we embed these processes? We used to see a lot of clients who perhaps, you know, someone new came in and the whole assessment process was changed, but actually there is a bit of a shift. You know, people are trying to embed things for the long term, leave a legacy, and then it's about updating them to make them more efficient in terms of time, money, and resources as we go along. So these are just some of the overall themes which we'll be touching on as we go through this presentation. And then the benefits of sustainable assessments. Well, you know, I think some of these are quite obvious, as we know: increased candidate engagement, enhanced usability for everyone, reduced costs, greater employee productivity, and reliable assessment processes. So as we know, all of these really do feed into, you know, meeting organisational objectives and saving money and feeding into the sustainability agenda. So the next few slides, we're just going to show some practical ways that we can create sustainable assessment processes. So I'm going to hand over to John just to touch on utilising new technology.
Thanks, Becky. Yeah, so just thinking about some of the technology that we can introduce in terms of the process. Virtual's become the new normal, and we know this from some of the research that came out last year. And specifically organisations looking at changing their practices in response to the pandemic. The trend was already underway, but the pandemic sort of accelerated it. But very much the things that used to happen face-to-face are now being done virtually and using new technology. So we're able to really capitalise on that from an assessment perspective and bring in some of the technology which can help organisations to run their assessment centres, to run you know, face-to-face interviews in inverted commas. They can do that over our video interview technology, and providing candidates with all the exercises and engagement that they used to do face-to-face, but using the new technology. And as I mentioned before, with a quick overview of our platform, we can do all of this online. But the key thing is making it engaging and making the process seamless for candidates as they move through. So whether it's answering an online screening questionnaire with some eligibility questions, whether it's completing some psychometrics or situational judgment tests or motivational questionnaires, all of these can be hosted online. Candidates can complete their video interviews and two-way interviews using our technology, and then they can actually attend a full virtual assessment centre. And so some of the feedback we've had from clients in the region who use this, there's one global company who are a constructor for oil and gas. They mentioned to us that they made back the investment they made in the technology probably in session 1 when they ran their first assessment centre, because they're connecting people globally instead of flying them in to different locations. So immediately there, they've reduced their carbon footprint, and they've actually enabled a really robust and a better process because they can capture all the data on the digital platform. And so they've saved money, and they've you know, contributed towards you know, the sustainability goals from an environment perspective. There's lots more we can do with scoring, as I mentioned before, in terms of some of the algorithms we can program on the system. And we're looking to automate this increasingly as we move through this year. Our AI engine for scoring is going to be doing more around recommendations to streamline and make the assessments more accurate and more efficient, and also reduce any potential adverse impacts that you might see traditionally from some of the assessment processes. Another just key thing with reports is that you can view all those online, and download them as PDFs. So no longer do you need to print out someone's psychometric report, which always used to be kind of fraught with security issues, you know, where the CEO's psychometric profile was left on the printer by someone. I think that was the well-known example in the UK. The HR manager left the profile out, and that caused lots of problems. So everything can be viewed on all the different devices, the mobile devices that you have, no need for printing. Okay, we just wanted to highlight some things around sort of some of the global trends. We know there's a global shortage. This is in part caused by lots of the financial stimulus in the economy as a result of lockdowns and people effectively not spending their disposable income. And what we've actually seen is an economy that's moved towards new ways of working. Lots of it delivered, digitally and virtually. But what we've actually seen is that workers and skills have not caught up. So there's a worldwide shortage of the right talent in jobs. And so for organizations, in terms of having a sustainable workforce, this is a big problem for them, because they no longer have the right people in the right roles, and their business models have changed quicker than the economy. So this is another reason for looking at streamlining assessment processes, because you can get the right people in the right roles. And obviously, we also know from some of the other trends that there is a huge shift in terms of workers leaving their jobs. And this is because people have kind of evaluated their life position and their goals. And a lot of the time they're thinking, I might actually leave my job, look for another one, look for something more suitable. So there's these sorts of forces at work as well. And I think we're going to see more of this year. And we've talked about this in other webinars, but this also creates an issue for sustainability in terms of having longevity within the workforce. And this is really something that we need to look at as assessment professionals. And just thinking about rehiring the right people. So given there's a shortage of global skills, there's a shortage of talent, and organizations need to do more with their talent, how do they actually rehire the right people? So there's a huge, the revenues of global search firms, for example, they've never been so high. So getting people back into the right roles is critical. And so thinking about the types of things that individuals need to be able to do in the new virtual environment and the digitally transformed economy. So just thinking about some of the skills they might need, whether it's complex problem solving, creativity, or having sort of high integrity and ethics. And lots of organizations are now hiring senior leaders, for example, along the lines of whether they are straightforward and honest in their dealings. And so from an assessment perspective, that's one thing that we can do with the psychometrics, is to measure all of these things through skills-based questionnaires, psychometrics, and other things as well, to say, have we got the right people in terms of bringing those into the organization? And then obviously looking at their mindset as well. Are people going to be adaptable to the new environment, to hybrid working, and are they going to be able to cope with the pace of digital change? So these are just some of the things to think about.
Okay. Thank you. And then your paperless assessing. So I think we've been sort of touching on this. So at SOVA, we have the Virtual Assessment Centre technology. So this is a platform which assessors and candidates can use. So effectively, you're putting the face-to-face traditional assessment centre online. So there's access for candidates. They can go in, and you can see here on the screen an example homepage. So they've got lots of different areas where they can go. So they can look at the welcome, they can test themselves, you can put up marketing information about the company. So this is really a hub for them. They can start the assessments through here as well, and the computer system will take them through what they need to do. And then the other end, we have the assessor portal. So assessors can log in. They can have all of their materials presented just in a similar way. So instead of having everything printed out or on your desktop, you can actually have it all saved so that you can complete the scoring and assessment process online. And this really just helps us have a seamless event. It helps assessors and candidates also be in the right place. Again, we're saving money and keeping to sustainability by no transport costs. You don't have to think about lunches. You don't have to think about paper. So really cost efficient and robust. And what it means is we have all of our data and information in one place. So when assessors go through and score candidates, the data all goes to a central wash-up sheet, which is online, which everyone can view, and you can then use this to make your hiring decisions. And then just some other sort of useful information sort of about this. So we have so over here on the left, we have a scheduling tool. So this means you can actually automatically schedule assessors with the candidates and the exercises at the right time. So again, if you think of the time that you can take to do this, it can be ages to sort of map this all out in an Excel sheet. So this will save you time and create efficiencies. All data is held securely on the platform. So again, no information sort of left loose around the organization. We can also look to improve performance by monitoring as we go. So we have feedback loops where we can look at diversity, inclusion, scores, and so on, and look to make improvements, look to improve accuracy as we go. Then thinking about the long-term processes, we can then validate whether the assessment approach is fitting to what's needed by the organization and look to refine this, or even add in new technology. So some of our clients might start with just using the assessor scoring mechanism online, and then after a while incorporate the two-way interview. So it's about building an assessment platform which is suitable for you and to meet your needs, but in a sustainable way. And then, as we know, we're reducing the printing costs and increasing efficiency in the whole process. And then number 4, so data-driven approach. I'll just touch on this. So if we have everything in one system, so this doesn't have to just be for assessment centres. This can be when you're giving individuals personality assessments or ability tests or situational judgment tests. All of the information goes through into one central homepage, really. And you can look here to see how they're scoring against different competencies, different exercises. You can do analysis of the information. You can view different dashboards. You can download it. And really what this helps with is ranking and sifting candidates and then choosing the best people for the role. And you can quite easily, I think you can see here, some of the dashboard examples. We can configure this to meet your needs, but at just a touch of a button, you can see, for example, how many people have completed different assessments, what the average score is. It's all real time, and it just gives us valuable insights to help optimize assessment processes. And then this is just another one to show in more detail. So you can see here the different sort of pass rates, the different candidates, the completions. And as I said, we can configure this in different ways to meet the needs of the organization. And then number 5, just focusing on the future. So one of the things we can do to help increase sustainability in the assessment process is look to the future, set something up for the long term rather than just for the now or for the immediate. So thinking about, what the types of people you'll be recruiting in the future, how you'll be recruiting them, what volumes, what numbers. So really thinking about that future, about the strategic goals, about the sustainability initiatives you want to fit to this as well. And as I think I said earlier, it's about refining and updating processes rather than reinventing them. So a bit like rewearing clothes or reusing, furniture in your house. So it's about what can we update, what can we reuse, how can we keep things sustainable, and it's about starting somewhere and building as you go, and then evaluating what is right for the business at the time, and perhaps swapping out different things to make it more efficient. So this was just in summary, I think, looking for the future. And then we've just got now some questions. I think I said at the beginning, we had some questions from a couple of clients that they've sent in. So we thought it might be useful just to answer them. John will answer them for us. But as we always say, if you have other questions, please do write in afterwards, or let us know if you want to speak further. And again, if there's anything you want to ask now, even type it in the chat box, that's fine as well. As I mentioned, I think our recording is going to stop after 40 minutes. So we haven't just vanished if we suddenly go, but we'll see how many of these questions we can answer. Okay. So question 1, John. So this is from one of our clients. So our business wants to start becoming more paperless, but we're continuously assessing how can we do this. And I think this is what we hear a lot. You know, people want to embed something, want to start something new, but when you have continuous recruitment cycles, this can be quite hard. So any tips or suggestions, John?
Yeah, I think with this one, I think it would be good to start with like an assessment audit of what they're currently doing. Just understanding, you know, the maturity level of the assessment process, whether they're literally just doing a bit of a CV screen in an interview, or whether they're currently using psychometric assessments or actual exercises when, you know, through an assessment center. So I think starting with, you know, what is your current process and what is the sort of current as is, and then looking at, you know, putting in place a sort of to be model in terms of, you know, what ideally would we want to get to in terms of a paperless assessment. I mean, the one thing I would say with the technology that's available now is that making it paperless is actually quite simple, because we literally take what is currently available on paper and we digitize it. And our consultants are pretty practiced at doing that. So we can digitize an assessment process end to end, probably within sort of 4 to 8 weeks or something like that, depending on the complexity of the different stages. But putting that all on one platform, putting in you know, different phases of the assessment process, you can make it really seamless. And as I, you know, if they wanted to use Sova, I mean, the subscription service makes it digital instantly, in the sense that the reports are available digitally. All of the interfaces for hiring managers are available. All the reports are there for them to download and view on their mobiles, tablets, or laptops. So, you know, in terms of the sort of disruption to the business, it's minimal once it's been implemented. But there's obviously, you know, there's a time period where everything has to be digitized. That makes sense.
Okay, thank you. And second question, so how can we use data from different assessments to make informed assessment decisions? So I think what they actually mean here is perhaps assessments from another provider, I think, but perhaps if you answer it both ways.
Yeah, so I mean, that's been one of the sort of challenges with the sort of traditional assessment process, is that you might have lots of different data points from different assessments they've completed. Candidates have probably had to click into multiple different emails and to different assessment providers to complete their online assessments. But not just from a candidate experience is that a problem, but it's also a problem for the hiring managers, because then, well, what do you do with all this data? You know, there's all these lengthy, complex reports and lots of data points. So what do you actually do with that data? Well, what we're doing now is that I mean, most of the time when I'm talking to clients, what I'm aiming to do is to boil the assessment data down to a single score. And as I mentioned before, in terms of the scoring algorithms we put in place, we're taking all the standardized scores and then taking an overall score from all of those different data points. And as long as you can get everything on the same scale, you can then get a single number. Once you've got a single number, you can then rank and sift and begin to make informed decisions, understanding that there's certain data you don't want to use to discount someone from a process, whether that's recruitment or development, but taking the sort of rounded picture of the individual. And that was the whole ethos behind you know, what we were trying to do when we started the company, was to be able to blend different assessment types together and then have a really robust data point, which enables you to make decisions. So I think that's really sort of where we're trying to get to in terms of Sova, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And can we upload, or can clients upload their own exercise content? That's question 3.
Yes. So if you have your own assessment content, whether that's exercises or your own questionnaires, your own SJTs, all of that can be put onto our platform. There's no issues around that. If you're using assessments from other providers, we are integrated with several other assessment providers, some of the well-known ones. So even if you say, look, we really like this questionnaire, this personality questionnaire or this test, we want to continue using that. If we're integrated with it, we can still run that off our platform and pull the data into our central dashboard. But a lot of the time, you know, the Sova tools cover everything that those assessments would want to do. So yeah, we can take all of your exercise content or your assessments and put them on our platform.
Yeah, great. And I think as well, just to add to that, we can adapt as well and refine content. So sometimes it's quite good to just have a review or a refresh, or as John said, some clients will literally just take their own content and upload it. And actually you can upload it as you go. So we would show you how to use the system. So if you swap out materials on a rolling basis, that's really straightforward to do as well. And then question 4, John, so open-ended question, how does video interviewing work? Perhaps give us the short answer.
So we've got a technology plugin on the platform, and so there's 2 ways it can work. The first one is when candidates are given an assessment to do, a video interview to do, you can present a couple of questions to them along the lines of what you want to ask them about, and literally they record their responses to those questions using the plugin, using our platform. And what it will do is access their web camera. It will give them a time limit and guidelines around how long they can spend. They record their response. They'll have an opportunity to review that response. If they want to re-record, they can. As I mentioned, there's different parameters around that, but basically, once they've done that, a hiring manager can then go in and score that video interview in terms of, in terms of different competencies and questions that they've responded to, and that can then be used to create an overall score for the video interview, which can then go into the overall scoring algorithm in terms of the assessment. So that's a sort of one-way video interview where candidates are responding to questions remotely. The other thing, the other way to use it is to do a 2-way video interview on our platform, which is more of a live interview that you might see a hiring manager traditionally did with a candidate, when they're assessing them for a role. You can use our web conferencing software to connect the hiring manager or assessor and candidates, and they can just run the interview that way. They would then have all the scoring similar to the one-way interview would be on our platform, and they would just rate the candidates in terms of how well they have responded to the different questions they've been asked. And again, that data is then available to view centrally and to add into the overall mix of scores which you're looking at, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. I think you've given us the long answer there, but that's good. So yeah, it's straightforward is what we want to know.
Yeah, it's very easy. It sounds a bit complex, but yeah, it's just giving people questions and they respond to it either remotely or in person, basically.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. And yeah, and thank you to those who did send in questions. It's good to have. So I think we'll keep this feature as I think this works quite well. And if we, does anyone have any other questions at this point for those who are watching this live? Are there any other questions?
I think we still have 5 minutes.
That's fine. If we we'll go through and then we'll see. Oh, I think there's someone here.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you. It's been very insightful. Oh. So the questions cover pretty much everything that I had in mind, so I don't have anything to add.
Oh, perfect. That's good. And you definitely didn't give us the questions, so no, that's good. No, thank you. If there are follow-up questions, let us know. We can chat afterwards. What we'll do is we'll just finish the rest of the slides, and if there are any other questions, let us know. So really, if you want a call to know more information, let us know. Our next event will be designing assessment centres, so we're trying to make this a bit more practical. I'm actually going to try and get someone from the UK to come and give us even more insight into it. And I think we always say join our community. There's lots and lots of resources there, lots of information. And if you do have any feedback for us or you want us to cover different topics, let us know as well. And just really to say, I suppose, thank you very much for listening. We're excited for this year, another series of events. I can't believe we've been doing these for a year now. There's different topics you want covered. Let us know. And any final words from you, John?
No, I was just going to say, and all of our content is available online in terms of our previous talks and the talks we were doing last year as part of the series. So that's all in the community, right, Becky? Is it all?
Yeah, it's actually on a different link, so I can share that with you. We have our own, I suppose, TV channel, and it's got them all on, so we can share that. Or it's being put together. Yeah. So I think we've done well to rattle through it. So thank you very much for moving over to Zoom. Oh, and also if you have any feedback on Zoom or BrightTalk, or which platform you prefer to listen to, whether you like to watch live or look at the video afterwards, again, let us know. Any feedback is really, really useful. Otherwise, we'll let you depart and enjoy your day and think about how to be sustainable.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Bye.